What's up, Facebook world? Recovery Fitness going live. Here we are, Tuesday, 2 o'clock. Hope everyone's doing all right. Hope everyone's hanging in there. Wait for some more of you guys to jump on here. So this is almost kind of like, I don't know, like heading into a third week of quarantine life here. So I'm just curious in the comments if you guys so choose to do so, but let me know what you've been up to. What are you guys doing to, we're still kind of in the beginning of our third week here, but what have you guys been up to? Are you working from home? What are you doing to keep yourself busy? What are you doing to keep yourself active? What are you doing for self-care? What are you doing that's helping you get through these challenging times right now? So I'd love to hear from some of you guys. Please feel free to comment. It's my favorite part of this thing is reading your guys' comments and seeing everyone participate. It's really been amazing. So yeah, comment in. Let me know what you've been up to. Let me know what's been helping you, what's maybe not been so helpful. Let me know how you're staying connected with your people, with your family, with your loved ones. What ways are you guys doing that? Let's see some comments roll in. In the meantime, we'll kind of get going. So I have been reading a chapter every day out of the, goodness gracious, out of the outrageous Openness book, Letting the Divine Take the Lead by Tasha Silver. April is checking in. She says, "Hi, I have been doing projects around the house, trying not to lose my mind." Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of us who are doing quite a lot of house projects. I'm sure for a lot of us, there's some, maybe closets that haven't been organized in a while, or maybe clothes we've been going through. I talked to one of my friends yesterday, and she said every day she's been going down into her basement because that's been a hoarding central. So she's been tackling a little bit of organizing and purging her basement a little bit every day. So that's a big project. Kara's been doing a meeting and meditation every day. Awesome. Good to see it. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are keeping busy, which is a good thing. I think little house projects can be great. Maybe tackle, a small project every day, or if you've got a big project, maybe you can spend half an hour to an hour on it every day. That's good. It is busy work, but it's something to help us stay task oriented and focused. But then there's things for our spiritual, right? For meetings and meditations and things like that. For those of you that choose to use those things, are they working for you? Are you enjoying your daily meetings? How are the meditations working for you? I know for me, doing some meditations and even just sitting quietly for a little while, during my day when I make time for it. I know for me that just helps ground me. It helps me to focus and relax a little bit, focus on my breathing. I'm glad you guys are staying busy though. That's important. Absolutely. April says, "I get to go back to work on Monday. Can't wait." So the book we've been doing by Tasha Silver, I usually start my videos with you guys by giving just a very brief little overview, a little brief background. Tasha's a graduate from Yale with a degree in English literature, but along the way fell madly in love with yogic philosophy. So for the past 30 years, she has taught people around the world ways to align with this inner love. And with that inner love, you'll hear her mentioned quite frequently in almost every one of her chapters here. She'll talk about divine order, divine source, a force of love, just some terms that she mentions quite frequently in her readings. So she says that divine order says that the perfect solution to any problem is already selected if you allow yourself to be guided. And divine source says there is a natural universal abundance that knows how to meet every need. Um, I just love that. I love that definition of divine order, and I know I share that with you guys every day, and that's more so for the people that are just tuning into this video in particular for the first time and haven't seen any of these. So that's why I like to give a little bit of background knowledge of some of the things that Tasha talks about. So she has a lot of people that write into her, and then she'll respond whether it's a funny story or a situation or a problem that an individual has encountered in their lives, and Tasha responds to it. And out of that came this book and these little short little couple page chapters, which I really enjoy. And so really these videos have been structured around me reading a chapter to you guys and talking about what it means to me, but more so not about my own opinion, more so what I really have been trying to do is pull out the underlying meaning of her readings, and try and relate them into my own life, but into your guys' lives as well. So, that's been an interesting process, just kind of picking a reading every day. Lately, I've just kind of been flipping to the next page and just kind of rolling with it that way. So again, you'll hear Tasha mention things like divine order and divine source. She'll talk about God and the universe in her readings. And I always ask and encourage you guys to keep an open mind with me. And, when you hear those terms, take it in whatever way that it relates to you and that it means to you. We all have a different connection with, a power greater than ourselves, whether it's the universe or, again, however you take that, that's a personal connection that we all have with our own higher power. So I just encourage you to have an open mind with me today. And I also encourage you guys to comment, because like I said earlier, that's my favorite part of this, is seeing everyone who's checking in right now. I see Kara's on here now, John, Kara, Kirsten, all my rock recovery family's on here right now. So yeah, that's my favorite on here, is just interacting with you guys, because that's about the most of my interactions I can get with you right now. So please feel free to comment and join in. And we'll jump right into today's reading. Excuse me. So today's reading is called Volcano Chaser. And she always starts with a quote. This is from Rumi. Move, but don't move the way fear makes you move. When I was 22 and new to San Francisco, I became friends with a writer named Stephen. We hung out in the Bohemian Mission District with a pack of other artsy types, feeling at home for the first time in our lives. After a few months, Stephen suddenly declared that he was leaving the city. He said he was ready to settle down in the countryside, find a mate, even have a kid. Man, did this sound suspect. Like having your favorite gay cousin announce that he was running off to join the Latter-day Saints or the Knights of Columbus or something. Then he admitted that though he loved the Bay, he was terrified of an earthquake. After spending months hunting the statistically safest place to move, he had settled on rural Washington. But you belong here, I protested. How can you leave? You panic even when you can't get a good burrito. He acknowledged that while he had no real pull to go, he was desperate for a safe home. He knew in astrology that Pluto was coming to his nadir, the bottom of his chart, soon. He felt a major disaster could hit any minute. He said, shaking his head sadly, I just can't live on the San Andreas Fault anymore, wondering if my building will still be standing each night when I get home from work. I can still remember the day we all said goodbye at 19th and Guerrero by his studio. For good luck, and because this was the 80s, we smashed a bottle of cheap champagne on the fender of his peeling blue Dodge. And then he was gone. None of us heard a peep until 9 months later, when Stephen sheepishly phoned one day to say he was returning. What happened? I asked, elated. Well, darling, remember last May when Mount St. Helens blew for the first time since 1857? And that safe haven I had spent so long scientifically picking? I had moved to the town of Cougar, 11 miles away. I lost most of my clothes, books, even my 10-speed. Every square inch was packed with ash. I can still smell and taste it all 2 months later. He sniffled. I'd kill right now for a tofu burrito, extra cheese, guac, and salsa. I swear there's not a decent one in this whole freaking state. Geez, I am so damn ready to come home. Stephen returned to the mission by the end of the summer. We took him out to La Cumbre on Valencia, his favorite dive. To this day, he says he's glad it all happened. He never made a decision from fear again. Another short little reading today. Um, and I mean, some of these stories she writes in, these are some of these people's lives and some of their situations are a little comical at times. Um, I did spend some time in California. I didn't live there for too long, not more than a year, but I can't even imagine living there with, constant fear of, an earthquake or the San Andreas fault drifting off. But it just kind of, just having some humor packed into that always kind of makes me laugh a little bit during these readings. But the whole point of that is, this Stephen guy, he was fearful. It says every night, wondering when he gets home from work if his building is going to be still standing because he was so concerned of the natural disasters of where he lived, right? And so the whole underlying thing is making a decision based out of fear. And I know we've been talking about fear quite continuously on here, and that is a very real thing in a lot of people's minds right now. And I think there are times where we genuinely act out of fear. I mean, this is somebody who was so overly fearful that he decided to pack up and move to a whole nother state, just out of fear because he felt like he needed someplace safer to go. And while there's nothing wrong with being cautious and thinking ahead, and of course we want that security and comfort of having a safe home, right? We all want that. But he moved his entire life. That was the only reason for going. He says that. He acknowledged that while he had no real pull to go, he was desperate for a safe home. Worried about a major disaster that could hit any time while living in California. I kind of keep going back to that quote in the beginning of this reading is move, but don't move the way fear makes you move. Oops. And I just kind of keep playing that over in my mind. Move, but don't move the way fear makes you move. But still move anyways, right? Take action anyways. And that's something that I definitely struggle with at times. I think we were talking a little bit yesterday maybe about kind of that fight or flight mode that our brains kind of kick in sometimes when we're in a situation. And we also talked about how sometimes there are situations that makes us freeze. We don't know which way to move, so we kind of get stuck and we kind of get frozen in that. And that can be just as scary, like having all these options or not even knowing what your options are. I found that those times where I've frozen in my past, like it just kind of prevents me from moving forward. Like I kind of freeze and I don't know what to do and I kind of get stuck, just kind of spinning my wheels over and over. But I love that though, because it still focuses on can we still take action, but can we take action in a way that's not acting out of a place of fear, right? Not letting fear drive our every action. And I know that can be really challenging right now. We're constantly talking about, the news is constantly changing. Every 5 minutes it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty. For me, I've found comfort in the fact that we all kind of are in the same boat right now. We are all learning how to adapt and learn a different way of living right now. We're learning how to keep busy. We're learning the things that we can handle while being quarantined at home and the things that we can't handle. We're all learning how to get through this thing. And, I was at a meeting earlier this morning and someone was sharing how fearful they are right now and how all they're doing is watching the news and, it seemed like it was just really taking over this person. I mean, you could hear it in the way this person was talking and their body language and the look in their eyes and on their face. They were just completely frozen by fear. And, that topic has come up in quite a bit of meetings that I've been to and quite a bit of people that I've connected with lately. While that fear is very real, we can't let it dictate how we're living our lives. The reality is that we're all learning to adapt to a different way of living right now while being, quarantined at home for the time being. And, I don't want to let fear dictate my every move while even being quarantined in my own house. You know what I mean? Like it's, we can let that creep in and we can just kind of stay frozen. Or we can set that fear aside. We can turn that fear over to something greater than us. we can ease that burden a little bit. But, you know, I don't know how helpful it is for us to spend all this time, you know, staying informed with every single news update we're all getting on our phones every 10 minutes. You know, there's nothing wrong with being informed. You know, that's a good thing for all of us is to be informed, but not spend so much time on it. You know, I don't want to let fear dictate my every decision, you know. April sharing, I love Rumi. I've always found insight in reading anything by Rumi. Yeah, and that was who that first quote was from. I'm actually not familiar with Rumi, but you know, April, if you're able to post any more books or anything else that Rumi writes on there, that'd be great if you could post some of that in the chat right now. That would be awesome. You know, I'm kind of feeling like I'm drawing a blank today, and you know, I don't know if anyone's kind of stuck in that same spot. You know, I feel like, you know, here we are into the third week, and we're all kind of, not all of us, but some of us are kind of settling into these new routines, and sometimes it feels really redundant. Sometimes it feels like I am just spinning my tires. Sometimes it feels like I'm coming on here and I'm talking about the same things over and over again, and then kind of feeling guilty for it as soon as I get off these videos. You know. But the point is that I'm able to still come on here and connect with you guys. You know, I would love to hear anything that you guys are struggling with right now. You know, I'd love to hear the way that you guys are facing your fears. The reality is that we all have fears, right? We're human. You know, there are things we're all afraid of before COVID was even a thing. You know, we all naturally have fears in our life. So I'm curious as to how some of you guys get through those fears. Do you let fear dictate your decisions? Do you let fear stop you from doing the things that you want to do? Do you let fear stop you from growing? Or do you face it and move forward? Do you make it through anyways? Are you resilient? You know, what do you do to move through that fear in your life? There's so many different acronyms for the word fear. A lot of them pop up in my mind. One of the ones I was looking up the other day is for fear, face everything and rise. That's one of my favorites. There are some other ones that are going the opposite direction. Maybe some of you know those ones too. But, you know, it really comes down to a matter, like I'm realizing lately, like what I give my energy to and what I focus on becomes magnified. And I have had those moments in the past couple weeks, more so last week, really early on. I had those moments where all of a sudden I let fear creep in. I let the reality of everything that is going on in the world around me, I let that creep in. And there was a couple of days where it felt really heavy. There was a couple of days where I let my emotions get the best of me. And while there's nothing wrong with having those emotions, you know, we're meant to have emotions, we're human, you know, there's nothing wrong with feeling our way through those. But when it becomes a problem is when I'm sitting with those and I'm ruminating on them over and over and over. And now my entire afternoon is blown because I've spent so much time worrying about this one thing and not being productive anywhere else. You know, is that a struggle for anybody else right now? You know, that's why I love that quote, because the first word is still move, right? I don't want to freeze. I still need to get up and move and do the things and take action, connect with people, right? We still all have responsibilities that we need to do every day. You know, wake up, get out of bed, take a shower at some point, get some type of physical activity, eat, breathe, you know, connect, meditate, go to meetings, whatever it is that works for you. You know, we still have those things that we get up and do every day. You know, so letting that fear completely just paralyze us is just so unproductive. It really is. John says, I'm afraid of the pizza shops closing next. Of course you are. I mean, that is a real fear. Pizza sounds good. Now you got me thinking, John. I wonder if pizza places are still delivering. Emily says, fear of action versus the fear of non-action. That's where I'm at. Yeah, absolutely. Fear of action versus the fear of non-action. Yeah. And sometimes we get stuck between that, right? We kind of stay stuck in limbo of this back and forth of, well, what happens if I take this action? What happens when I do this thing and what happens when I do that thing? And how is that going to affect this? Fear of taking action. Or there's the fear of non-action. There's the fear of not doing anything. Freezing, staying still, staying stuck, getting stagnant. Yeah, that's a hard place to be, and I get that. I totally relate to that. April says, facing fears has been my nemesis for so long. I finally found the strength about 6 months ago to stop avoiding things that cause me to feel fearful. Yeah. That's amazing. That's so amazing. Whatever it is 6 months ago that you started facing, that's huge, April. It's hard to face our fears, right? No matter no matter how big or small they are, it's a challenge for us to face that, right? Because it's this uncomfortable feeling. So for any of us to step outside of our comfort zones is uncomfortable. There is fear behind that. There's fear behind change. There's fear of the unknown. So much of that. And sometimes we avoid things that we know are going to help us. It was, now that I'm saying that out loud, it's funny. I was kind of thinking, it was the meeting I was in this morning, we were talking about insanity and our own insanity, right? And there is this common definition of insanity that so many of us know to be doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. But the one we were actually talking about this morning was the second definition of insanity is knowing what works and not doing it. And I'm learning that during this time. I'm, realizing during this downtime that there are still things that I need to do that I would be doing regardless of if COVID was even a thing or not. There are things in my daily life that I do to take care of myself, my mind, body, and spirit, my recovery. There are actions that I take every single day that I know help me through those tough moments. And then there's times when I'm not doing them and I'm wondering why I'm not feeling good, or I'm wondering why that fear and anxiety is creeping back in, So I'm challenging you guys to check in with yourselves. Are there things that you normally would do, COVID or no COVID, things that you would do in your regular life that help you? And are you still staying on top of those things? Whatever that may look like to you. Everyone's got their own different pathways and their own different things that work for them. So are you guys keeping on top of the things that work for you and that that help you? Are you still doing those things? Check in with yourself. John says, JK, of course, Chelsea Curley. I love you so much. You're totally amazeballs. I miss you so much. You guys crack me up. I miss you too. Miss all you guys. April says, I totally understand. I find myself creeping back into the avoidance to cope. Yeah. Pizza always sounds good. Agreed. Maybe that's my other challenge for everyone today. Make a pizza or order a pizza. Jake says, I just got out of rehab Friday, so I've kind of been in quarantine mind state for 3 months. My struggle has been trying to help encourage friends that are struggling with this and using right now. Yeah. Jake, I'm so glad you're on here. I'm so glad you're joining us right now. It is a struggle for some of us to reach out and encourage our friends that are struggling right now. For those of us that are in recovery, for those of you that are in recovery, are you able to still check on your other friends right now? And thinking about that, I personally am very glad that I have found this recovery pathway and this amazing recovery community that consists of so many of you guys. You guys are all a huge support for me, whether I've met you or not, whether you're on here popping up for the first time or not. I'm very grateful to be in recovery, especially with all this stuff going on. But I know that there are people who are not there yet, and it has to be so hard to, when we're all kind of in this state of quarantine right now, to get involved more so than ever. That's a really challenging spot to be in. But the consistent thing that people keep commenting on here and all of our other videos that everyone keeps talking about is the thing that helps us all is that connection with other people. Jake, I think it's really great that you're trying to encourage your friends and try and help them out right now. That's great, and that's kind of what we can continue to do, right? Whether in recovery or not, we still need to all of us check in on our people. We can all try and to encourage each other and love each other and support each other. Um, Jake, if you're out there and you got friends right now that you would benefit from seeing these videos or connect with Rock Cover, that's what we've been continuing to encourage you guys to do every day, is to reach out for us, reach out to us. We're here. If you need people to talk to, if you need a shoulder to lean on, metaphorically, of course, that's not physical distancing and touching each other's shoulders, but if you do need that metaphorical shoulder to cry on, we can be here for you guys. We're here to connect, and if you do have people in your life, maybe not necessarily you, but if you have friends that are struggling and still using right now, and need to get connected into the recovery community or any kind of help, we're here for that too. We do have our peer mentor services that are still going on through Rock Recovery. So please, please, please reach out to us. I'll check back in with some more comments here. April's still checking in. She says, every morning before I leave my bed, I check in with myself. Awesome. I ask myself, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling that? And the most important question I feel is this something that I can affect change? Absolutely. I love that. I think that's so great. I've really been encouraging you guys to often do these check-ins with yourself, right? Especially when we're feeling off. I think most of us know ourselves well enough to know when we feel uncomfortable or scared or anxious or mad, any of those negative feelings, we can recognize when we're feeling those. And I've been encouraging you guys to check in. When you're feeling that, can you pause and check in with yourself? Ask yourself some basic questions. What is it that I'm feeling right now? Why am I feeling that? But April, I love that, actually checking in with yourself before you even leave bed in the morning. That's great. That is so great, because that kind of helps align our day, right? That sometimes we have that saying like, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Well, if that's true, if you're feeling like you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, can you pause and check in with yourself before you even get out of bed? If you're waking up feeling grumpy, or you feel like, maybe you didn't get a good night's rest because you've been up all night worrying and fearful. I had a couple friends this morning say that to me. They didn't sleep. They've been up having these crazy dreams, and they're worried about COVID and, the world ending and everything. People were sharing that this morning, and, that affects our sleep. Are you waking up in the morning completely fearful and, kind of frozen already before your day even begins? So I love that. Thank you for sharing that, April. I think that's actually going to be my challenge for you guys today. Normally I try and pick something out of whatever I'm thinking about, during the reading, but I love that idea. So my challenge for you guys today is to continue to check in with yourself throughout the day when these emotions are coming up. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Are my needs being met? Am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Is there something that I'm not taking care of that's causing me to feel this way? Can you write it down? Can you get it out of your head and onto paper? But more so, my challenge for you tomorrow morning, I love this. This is great. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up in the morning, don't jump right out of bed. Don't jump right into all the tasks that you got to do. Just pause for a minute. Pause for a few minutes. Can you sit with yourself in the quiet of the morning or the afternoon, whatever time you get up? Can you sit with yourself for a few minutes and just check in? How am I feeling right now? Do I feel rested? Did I get enough sleep? Or was I up tossing and turning all night? And if I was, why was I up tossing and turning? What was going through my mind? And I encourage you to just sit with that for a few minutes. Some of you share that you meditate, and I think that's great. I personally like meditating in the morning. It kind of helps set my mental tone for the day. So can you sit with yourself and just focus on your breathing for 5 or 10 minutes? John, actually, if anyone tuned in this morning to John's talk, he mentioned the app called Headspace. And that's a great app, especially for, beginners for meditating. It really teaches you the foundation for what meditating really is. So often people have the misconception that, well, I can't meditate because I can't turn my brain off. Well, of course you can't turn your brain off. It's your brain, and your brain is wired to think. We can't turn that off. Even when we're sleeping, it's still going. It's doing something, right? But the whole point is to be able to just sit there and be present, and ground ourselves. Focus on your breathing for a moment. Focus on the noises or the sensations around you. And when your mind does start to wander off and go do all the crazy things that it does, because I know mine does, when it starts to do that, can you gently bring it back? So Headspace is actually a really great app that kind of helps us learn the foundation of meditating and focusing on our breath work and focusing on being present. I'm really glad that John mentioned that this morning. It just kind of popped back into my head, but I'll post it in the chat right now. Headspace app. So check it out if you haven't. It's a free app. It's free to download, and like I said, for me, doing that first thing in the morning, or kind of somehow integrating that into my morning routine, has just been something that's been really helpful. Last week, like I said, I had a couple of these emotional up and down moments where I let that fear creep in, but this week's felt a little bit more calm. And that's because there's action in there, right? There's me still moving. I'm gonna read that quote one more time. I really like it. Move, but don't move the way fear makes you move. So get up in the morning, still do the things that you need to do. Just because everything feels like it's falling down around us. What can you control in your own home? What can you control in your own daily life? April says, I signed up for recovery like 9 months ago. Fear has kept me from actually going to join y'all. Oh, so, okay, signed up for recovery maybe? Fear has kept me from going to join. I think my next challenge will be to come be active with you all when this is all over. It is part of my mental health plan. I have a sucky day if I don't. Recovery signed up 9 months ago. Awesome. Yeah. And, it is really hard not having our center right now. I miss being there. I know the other recovery staff members miss being at the center. And I know our volunteers and all of our members, all of you guys, I know you guys that do come in or do join us on the hikes periodically. I know you guys miss being there too. It's hard for us to not be present there right now and physically be around each other. But this is the reality of all of our situations right now. And so here we are. This is how we're connecting. April, you are here. You are a part of this right now. You're here interacting with, a recovery member and a staff member and other people that are online right now, right? This is the way we are doing things for a little while. It's not the end all be all. This is not permanent. But right now, this is how we're connecting. So, April, I'm glad you're on here. Jake, I'm glad you're on here too. You guys chimed in. That's amazing. I thank all you guys for continuing to show up and engage with me. And, I know the reading was kind of all over today, but this is why I love the comments, because the comments are what really sparks the conversation. It gets you guys connected. It gets you guys active. And it helps me to interact with you guys too. I really enjoy it. So like I said earlier, Jake or whoever else is on here watching this, you said you've got some friends that are maybe struggling right now. Or April, you're wanting to connect with recovery more. Again, we can continue to do this. We can continue to connect with you guys. We do have our new virtual recovery calendar that's out right now, so you can check our website for that, which is rockcoveryfitness.org. Or if you guys do stay on Facebook, you can go to our recovery Facebook page, and you can see our events calendar there. We have these great virtual videos that are going on every single day. There's a couple special ones that only happen once or twice a week. But either way, all that stuff's on the calendar. And this is one way that we're staying connected. At least we're able to, occupy some time for half an hour out of the day. And, we've got a couple more coming up later this afternoon. So I hope that you guys can tune in. And again, if you need to be linked to any other kind of recovery services, or just to have that support, or just to meet some new people in the recovery and the recovery community, please message us. Please continue to tune in. And if there's anything else you guys want to hear or see us talk about, we'd love to hear more feedback from you guys, and how we can better stay connected with you. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up today. I will be back here at 2 o'clock tomorrow. But if you guys are not doing anything at 3 o'clock today, and if you're looking to get up and get moving, Lisa's got a great little workout for you guys. And Yana will be on later this afternoon giving us some words of encouragement. So please continue to join in with us later this evening. A couple more videos for you. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. We will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.